It all comes down to this, as has been speculated for a week now, really. Xavier versus Ozza. These are the two players left that likely win this game. There's still Derek Frazier, but he remains not winning one comp this entire season, being dragged to the end as a likely GOAT that nobody will vote for to win, or at least not a lot of people will vote for to win. Ozza won the second part of the HOH, so it comes down to Xavier versus Ozza in the third round of this final HOH. And likely it becomes the winner of this wins the entire game, because they both probably cut the other and take Derek Frazier to the end. And once again, I would just like to reiterate how Xavier and Ozza had the two best social games this season. I do think Xavier has lacked on the, strategic part of the game, and so has Ozza for sure. Ozza lacked strategically. She was not an aggressive player trying to make moves until she had to. We go back to that move, her cutting Hannah. It looked like it was going to be bad for her. People were saying she was playing for fourth, and yet she now has a shot to win the game, just a win away. It's going to be tough. Xavier, on the other hand, has shown in this game that he has been able to just put himself in the best positions. And he has done that by working everybody on a social level. He had everybody trying to work with him within the cookout. He even had a lot of players outside of the cookout trying to work with him. And frankly, the same goes for Ozza. One of the things I haven't talked about enough is how everybody was saying the cookout carried Ozza, when in reality, she was at the bottom of the cookout. But had the cookout not been a thing, I actually don't think anybody is still coming for Ozza. She still had a connection with everybody outside of the cookout that made the jury. So I don't think Ozza would have been an immediate cut if there was no cookout. Ozza's social game was spectacular. And because I have been one of the only people pointing out her social game since week one, I'm sorry these other podcasters can't pick up on this because they're too busy rooting for the most popular players in the game on fucking social media. So they can't see everybody's game clearly. So it just comes down to these two. I'm happy with either one of them winning, but I mean, I can't lie and pretend that I kind of don't want Ozza to win a little more because I get to be fucking extra about it. And that would be much funner for me. So yes, the petty side of me would enjoy making that Ozza wins video because it would be fun. And it's funny now, you see all of these people that trashed Ozza from week 2 on, trashed her game, trashed her as a person for literally no reason, the personal shots at Ozza. Now suddenly social media wants Ozza to win the game. Would you look at that? You're going to see all these people that kept saying, we're rooting for the women of the cookout, but then only mentioned Hannah and Tiffany's name, now root for Ozza. You're going to see the podcasters do the same thing. They're going to have to backtrack and root for Ozza, or if Ozza wins, they're going to have to backtrack on all the bullshit they said because they have to stay fake woke and, talk about Ozza's game and actually, maybe take her social game into fucking consideration. Some of them have started to do it at the end of the season when she's actually had this great social game that I called out since week 1. But per usual, you will always see social media and most of these podcasters playing catch up to the game that they miss all the time because they're too busy trying to please the stands. But yes, it kind of feels like the challenge. I mean, I don't want it to be that far gone of a conclusion that Derek Frazier loses against either of them, but that likely is the case because if Ozza wins HOH, cuts Xavier, that's going to be seen as a great move for her. And we've been saying on this channel in our rankings for quite a while now, it's either Xavier wins this game or the person that cuts Xavier wins this game. And that is truly what it looks like this final challenge or this final competition is coming down to. Winner wins. Now, people have been commenting about Kylie in the past 24 hours. I'm not going to change my mind on my stance on Kylan. You can argue with me in the comments. all you want, but it's just not going to happen because, as I've been saying in the comments, I just find Kylan so hypocritical. I do respect the commenters' opinions, Isis Blue and Kisha D and Speak the Word Bible Study. There was also some Irish guy, I don't know your name. He tried to argue with me in circles. But at none of these points, I just don't agree with most of them because my only perspective on this is I just don't like the hypocrisy from Kylan. And the Irish guy, he won't admit it because, YouTube commenters don't like to admit things. They just like to try and troll channels. But he said my own fucking words that everybody manipulated everybody. Yes, but my point is Kylan's the only one that has been an emotional twat about it. Like I've brought up in the comments, the reason I never liked Kylan in the first place was his second HOH when he was talking about Ozza being an emotional player, and then he brought up Ozza's African heritage and acted like he knew African values, and it was very strange. And since then, I didn't like him. And then he's talking about other people being emotional. He's talking about a lot of women in this game being emotional. But he's also been probably the most emotional player, and he showed it when he exited this game being an emotional twat. So I will never feel sorry for Kylan's plight. And I will always say that he did the same thing in this game that Xavier did to him. And yes, I get the argument that Xavier may have used his nephew as emotional manipulation. But I mean, Kylan was also using emotional manipulation in this game down to the bitter end when he used Derek Fraser's ring as collateral damage to try and make sure that Derek Fraser has enough emotional connection to that ring that Kylan would just take it. So Kylan made a final two with Tiffany, cut Tiffany, just like Xavier made a final two with Kylan, cut Kylan. Kylan was emotionally manipulating people in this game, usually the women, with sob stories, crying, using his speech difficulties as strategy. So he was doing the same thing. He talked about Ozza being emotional, other people being emotional, when he is also emotional. I just can't feel sorry for the guy. I don't like him as a person, but like I said, if he could play again, I would watch him play again as a player because he's a messy player and he brings entertainment. But he still remains the only player, other than Claire, who did the whole basic, I'm not going to talk to anybody when I leave. Kylan is the only player so far, within the cookout especially, to leave being a petty bitch. So I stand by everything I said about Kylan. Not going to change my mind on Kylan. And so one last thing about Xavier, though, I do think, and Speak the Word Bible Study brought this up as well, that Xavier cutting Kylan wasn't the best strategic move for Xavier, and that's why I have said that Xavier's strategies sometimes aren't the best. They just make it harder for Xavier because now Xavier has to beat Ozza, or he's not going to the end. Where he probably could have went to with the three guys and maybe got taken to the end by both Derek Fraser and Kylan. So Xavier did make the game a bit harder for himself, giving Ozza the shot to pull off this upset. So that is where we are. This is probably my last update of the year, unless something spectacular happens the last couple of days of the game. I will try and do a video, though, after the finale. We'll see if I will just do a short video on Xavier's win. He deserves it, though, if he wins. I think he is a mid-tier winner. But if Ozza wins, I get to make an extra fucking video. So I would prefer Ozza winning just so I could be extra, seeing as I'm the only motherfucker that has been talking about Ozza's great social game since week fucking 1. But, since a lot of Twitter and social media is now rooting for Ozza, you all probably jinxed her ass, let's be real, because that's what you all do. It's be wrong. And the podcasters are the same way. Everybody that the Twitter has been rooting for and standing lost. And everybody that the podcasts have been trying to champion lost. So y'all probably jinxed as Ozza's ass too. Way to go. Also, one of the last things on feeds I saw was Xavier trying to kind of manipulate Azza in a way. I think Xavier will keep trying to work Azza to try and convince her to take him to final two if she happens to win this final three HOH. But they were both drinking, and I think Azza was trying to call him out on a lot of his lying. So don't know if that's going to work. So I still believe it stands as of right now. Azza versus Xavier, winner of the final HOH, wins the game, and Azza has a shot. If it's the usual like multiple choice questions about the player's game at the end, Azza has a pretty good damn shot. I think it's really 50-50. I think they both can be good at that type of game. In fact, I think that's favors Azza maybe a little slightly because she's been studying this all season. But I do think Xavier's low key good at this too. So it is a battle for the win.